Everyone says they want to eat less sugar, but what would happen to your body if you actually pulled it off? Whether it's sugar, meat, carbs, or alcohol, your body is going to become a very different thing if you kick these foods to the curb.
In 1822, the average American consumed about 45 grams of sugar every 5 days, which is the amount that's found in just one modern-day soft drink. Today, that number has climbed all the way to 765 grams every 5 days. Glycation is the effect of sugar molecules on your body cells, and the same cells that make you look younger, plumper, and glowy are the ones that are most susceptible. According to L, when those proteins hook up with renegade sugars, they become discolored, weak, and less supple. This shows up on the skin surface as wrinkles, sagginess, and a loss of radiance. Dr. Harold Lancer, dermatologist to Kim Kardashian and Beyoncé, says if we cut out the ice cream, sugary cereal, and even large amounts of fruit, people can see changes within as little as 72 to 96 hours. He told The Cut, "They'll feel better, their color will look better, their skin won't be so oily, and they won't be so dry." Beyoncé's dermatologist also said sugar may be the culprit behind ugly breakouts since it has the ability to weaken the immune system. A weak immune system can't fight off bacteria, and bacteria clogs pores. Clogged pores cause pimples. Sugar can also increase your testosterone levels. In addition to flabby bellies and decreased sex drive, high testosterone translates into bigger, oilier pores. A 2007 study from the Child and Family Research Institute found that excessive amounts of sugar can turn off the gene that controls the levels of estrogen and testosterone in your body. This gene is aptly named the sex hormone-binding globulin, or SHBG for short. Remember those testosterone problems? Too little SHBG and your body releases extra testosterone and estrogen, which can lead to infertility, polycystic ovaries, and uterine cancers. If there's too much of it, it still disrupts the balance, which could lead to cardiovascular disease in women. Not only does a lack of donuts and cupcakes get rid of empty calories, but cutting out the sugary snacks helps with insulin release. Insulin is used to communicate with our fat cells. When insulin levels are sky high, it will tell our cells to store fat and avoid burning more. From here, the body can't access the stored fat, which it interprets to mean, "I'm hungry." The effects are cyclical, and the more processed sugar you eat, the more processed sugar you want. All the while, your body is storing fat, not burning it, and wondering, when am I going to get my next meal? Cut down the sugar, and you might just see your waistline go down too. Fructose hits the brain with a temporary high like a drug. But animal research is now suggesting that repeated sugar hits leads to a need for more sugar to keep that fantastic high going.
There's some secret ingredient in these Nutri-Yum bars that make me feel so good.
Sugar. It's a block of sugar.
Researchers at UCLA also found that a diet high in sugar can affect your ability to learn new things and remember old ones. They saw that rats who ate too much sugar had impaired communication between brain cells. Last but not least, elevated blood sugar levels can cause inflammation in the body, which can also lead to brain degeneration and ultimately diseases such as Alzheimer's. Addictive tendencies, learning impairment, and memory loss? Not sure those cookies are as sweet as they look. Sugar is often seen as a solution for high-stress situations, but the classic rebellious pint of ice cream may actually hurt more than it helps. According to Psychology Today, sugar is a catalyst for making anxiety worse. It can cause symptoms that mirror an anxiety attack, such as blurry vision, fuzzy head, fatigue, and shaking. The symptoms cause more worry and fear, creating a vicious cycle. In 2008, a study in physiology and behavior found that rats given an excess of sugar and then deprived of food showed a dopamine imbalance, which resulted in increased anxiety. The following year, another study in the same publication found that consuming sugar in the long term reduces the ability to fight anxiety. That delicious ice cream cone may soothe the soul, but too much of it may actually send you over the edge. Before we go cleaning our cabinets of all things sweet or ban birthday cakes from our kids, let's keep a little perspective. The sugar we've talked about is largely from processed foods like sports drinks, breakfast cereals, and snacks that are marketed to be healthy, like low-fat yogurts and protein bars. That still leaves plenty of room for more natural forms of sugar, like berries, sweet potatoes, dark chocolate, and even homemade baked goods sweetened with things like honey. We need sugar in our diet. It gives us energy. The problem is our approach to eating it. Just like anything else, too much of anything is a bad thing. 765 grams? Come on, America. Scale it back to more reasonable sugar levels circa 1822, and you might find the picture-perfect sweet spot that your body loves.
There are plenty of reasons to quit drinking alcohol. Perhaps you can't party as hard as you once did. Maybe you've developed a beer belly, or maybe your drinking is starting to get out of hand.
Hey, look, if I was drunk, would I be able to do this?
Whatever your circumstances are, you're here and you're ready to kick the sauce. Let's break down what happens to your body once you quit drinking. The withdrawal process varies depending on how much of a drinker you were before you stopped. Your body and brain have to adjust to you no longer putting a powerful substance in it anymore. Your brain altered its chemical balances in order to work with a regular intake of alcohol. Now it needs to readjust for life without it, and you may feel all kinds of changes, such as an increase in body temperature, a rise in blood pressure, sweating, tremors, and insomnia.
Well, this is ludicrous.
All happening as the body settles into a new norm. If you're a heavy drinker, the detox process is much more serious on the biological level. It could be fatal if not treated correctly, so when you're ready to stop drinking, seek professional medical help. You may have thought you slept well when you were drinking, but that's not quality sleep. It's more passing out. Ending your intake of alcohol restores the brain's healthy, normal alpha wave patterns. Alcohol interrupts those patterns and makes the brain tell the body it's awake, which makes for less restful, restorative sleep. Without alcohol, your brain knows it's asleep and stays asleep. With better sleep, your concentration, mood, and mental acuity will improve, and you'll feel like $1,000,000 again. If you stop drinking and change nothing else about your diet or level of activity, you're likely to lose weight. It's partially the simple concept of calorie counting. Alcohol, especially beer, contains a lot of calories. A single IPA may have as many as 200 calories, while a margarita could have 300. If you reduce your caloric intake by hundreds of calories a day, the pounds will drop off over time. Plus, you'll overeat less. Being intoxicated sends the hypothalamus in the brain into higher gear, which makes the body more sensitive to food smells. That, combined with alcohol's famous ability to remove inhibitions, leads to extra eating. Alcohol is a diuretic, forcing water out of the body and decreasing the production of a hormone that helps the body absorb and hold water. This is why you need water during a hangover. Over time, less water in the body leads to noticeable effects, such as parched and dry-looking skin, rosy red cheeks, dandruff, and eczema. After kicking the sauce, you should see a vast improvement in the quality of your skin. Alcohol is like a blood sugar randomizer. While small amounts of alcohol can raise your blood sugar level, excess amounts can lower it, leading to hypoglycemia or even type 2 diabetes. Luckily, blood sugar levels often normalize when alcohol is no longer a factor, so no more need to pound all that candy. The National Cancer Institute has linked heavy drinking with an increased risk of several cancers, among them mouth, liver, breast, colon, and rectal cancer. Without alcohol in the body, that's one less carcinogen to worry about, which is a pretty good reason to celebrate.
For the average eater, the words gluten-free are horribly confusing. This protein made up of the peptides gliadin and glutenin is found in grains such as wheat, semolina, rye, and barley. It's known for giving bread its airy and fluffy substance and dough its sticky texture. But recently, it's become notorious for sending dieters, restaurateurs, and the medical community into a tailspin. Why? Because every time you eat a cronut or a turkey sandwich, your body either decides to break the gluten down and absorb it or produce antibodies to attack it. The latter is known as celiac disease and, to a lesser extent, non-celiac gluten sensitivity. Avoiding gluten completely is, as of now, the only known treatment to help heal these conditions. But what about the rest of us who haven't been diagnosed? What really happens to the body when you give up gluten? While gluten itself does not contain unique nutritional benefits, the whole grains that contain the protein often do. Wheat-containing products like sandwich bread and cereals are fortified with B vitamins and iron, but many gluten-free food options are not. Which means that, for people who keep to a limited diet of eating just cereal, sandwiches, and pasta, wheat is often the most nutritious thing they eat all day. Dietitian Andrew James Pierce, in-house nutritionist for the app Sugar Checked, warns that traditional gluten-free diets often rely heavily on highly processed and low-nutrient-dense starches, such as white rice, potato, and tapioca flours. He told us, "It is certainly not impossible to meet the fiber and other nutrient needs on a gluten-free diet. It just requires a higher level of diligence." Diligence could come in the form of B vitamin-rich legumes, calcium-rich cottage cheese, iron-rich turkey, and a whole bunch of vitamin-rich fruits and vegetables. Whether you believe in gluten-free diets or not, it is scientifically proven that out of all the carbohydrates, whole grains are the hardest to digest. In a blog post for the Healthy Home Economist, certified nutritional consultant Monica Corrado talks about 5 ways that whole grains can wreak havoc on your tummy. From the presence of sugars that are difficult to digest to the theory that grains were not meant to be ingested in the first place, she believes that temporarily eliminating all grains can help heal the gut. Margaret Romero, an integrative nurse practitioner, finds most of her patients' stomach symptoms improve with a gluten-free diet, even if they don't have celiac disease. She told The List, "If a patient has no signs or symptoms, I don't put them on a gluten-free diet. But even minor symptoms such as a little gas or bloating or persistent diarrhea, constipation, is more likely to be improved on a gluten-free diet." While Romero sees improvement for patients who ditch gluten, it's not the same for everyone. An article in U.S. News and World Report explains that, typically, gluten-free foods, especially processed gluten-free foods, do not contain as much fiber as grain-based foods. And according to a study in the Journal of Nutrition, more than 90% of Americans are not meeting the recommended daily amount of fiber. Fiber keeps things running smoothly. It's the roughage that your body can't digest that helps bulk up your poop. That same U.S. News article cites fiber as essential for maintaining regular bowel movements, preventing colon cancer, and supporting friendly gut bacteria. Thankfully, fruits, vegetables, potato skins, and legumes are all great alternative sources of fiber. If you decide to go gluten-free, make sure to stock up on those. Medical News Today defines inflammation as the body's attempt to bring more nourishment and immune activity to a site of injury in the body. In other words, it's a healing response. The problem, however, is when inflammation persists without reason. Chronic inflammation is at the root of America's most prevalent illnesses: heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, and a whole host of autoimmune conditions. According to Romero, because gluten creates inflammation in the bodies of those who have allergies or sensitivities to it, they'll quickly notice a significant reduction in symptoms when they remove gluten from their diets. These can include rashes, GI issues such as IBS, autoimmunity, and pain/fibromyalgia. One of the first things that members of Food Addicts Anonymous give up is gluten. They recognize that eating wheat tends to spark compulsive eating. A scientific review from the Food Addiction Institute showed that self-assessed food addicts in Overeaters Anonymous were successful in losing weight by dealing first with physical craving and abstaining completely from their major binge foods, like the ones that contain wheat. Some food addicts cannot stop binging until they eliminate all wheat from their diet. Believe it or not, Dr. Leslie Korn goes so far as to suggest that detoxing from gluten can be almost as difficult as getting off heroin. In her book, Nutrition Essentials for Mental Health, A Complete Guide to the Food-Mood Connection, she talks about the prominence of people suffering from psychosis that are gluten-sensitive. She told us, "This is not good news, given so many of these individuals are homeless and eating at shelters serving gluten-rich foods." With a gluten-free diet comes plenty of pre-packed, sugar-packed, crunchy, crispy, ooey gooey gluten-free treats, so it's quite easy to feel like your choices for processed foods are justified as soon as you see the gluten-free label. As a result, your processed food intake may rise higher than you expected. Pierce puts it this way: at the end of the day, a gluten-free cookie is still a cookie. But not all people reach for the brightly colored boxes of gluten-free munchies. Some people find themselves spending more time in the kitchen, roasting vegetables, chopping salads, and blending smoothies. This evidence comes from the many food bloggers out there sharing their journey and cooking up a storm of unprocessed gluten-free food. According to a study published in the Journal of Nutrition, the cells in your gut form tight junctions that determine what comes in and what stays out. They're the gatekeepers, if you will. They keep out pathogens, antigens, and toxins and welcome in nutrients and water. If not treated properly, those gatekeepers develop holes that keeps them from doing their job. This allows microbes, toxins, proteins, and partially digested food particles to get through and flow freely into your bloodstream. This is what the scientific community has come to call leaky gut syndrome, and it's as gross as it sounds. According to another study published in PubMed.gov, continually eating gluten will keep your junctions open and your gut leaky. Your body may mistake your own tissues for gluten and remain in a chronic state of inflammation, which could lead to a host of autoimmune conditions. Cutting out gluten reduces this risk. There isn't a whole lot of scientific evidence to support it, but the anecdotal evidence is all over the internet. According to sources such as Allergic Living and Entrepreneur, many people report clearer thinking after they give up gluten. The reason being? While they were ingesting gluten, they were experiencing brain fog. Although there is no official medical definition, people describe it as feeling tired, lethargic, and fuzzy-headed. And often, they didn't realize how bad they felt until they gave up gluten and started thinking much clearer. One study found an increase in depression symptoms with a diet containing gluten. Another found that when they gave participants a pill containing gluten or placebo, their symptoms were more severe when they swallowed the gluten-containing capsule. So what's a gluten-fearing girl to do? In the current war-torn state of the food industry, you're not going to get a clear answer. But if there's one thing that you can always rely on, it's yourself. Blindly eating whatever's within reach, without paying attention to its nutrition label or how it's making you feel, is setting you up for heartache and heartburn. Does your Wednesday night spaghetti frequently end in tummy aches? Do you feel a lot better after eating a bowl of steel-cut oatmeal than a bowl of Cinnamon Swirl cereal? Then follow your stomach. It's trying to tell you what to do.
Whether you're a vegetarian and thinking of taking things to the next level of animal-free eating, or a longtime carnivore getting ready to start a completely plant-based diet, going vegan is a major life change.
What's this?
That is seaweed and lavender.
And this here?
It's a tofu brick with scallion wash.
Before switching over to veganism, you should be aware of the major biological shifts that will likely happen when changing your diet in such a drastic way. Don't be alarmed when these changes go down. This is just what happens when you go vegan. Numerous studies have linked vegan and vegetarian lifestyles with a significantly decreased risk of heart disease. Fatalities from ischemic heart disease, the kind characterized by coronary arteries narrowing or closing completely, have been shown to be 26% less prevalent in vegans versus those who regularly eat meat. Scientists say this is likely due to the inflammation caused to various digestive and circulatory parts as they process meat and animal products. Less meat means less inflammation, and less inflammation means less heart disease. A 2015 study found that going vegan generally leads to weight loss, even if you aren't necessarily looking to shed those pounds. In the first few months of an animal product-free diet, subjects lost an average of 10 pounds. Skipping out on meat, eggs, and milk means you're significantly cutting down those calories and likely filling your gut with food that's probably healthier for you. Abruptly quitting meat and animal products leaves all of those digestive enzymes in your gut with nothing to do. With all the plant matter digesting enzymes suddenly extra busy, this could lead to a bacterial imbalance in the stomach, and that manifests with bloating. But don't worry about it, your body just needs time to adjust. Things will eventually settle down, but in the meantime, don't be surprised if your digestive system takes care of bloat the way it always does, with the release of gas from one end or the other.
I feel alive!
You probably know that protein is necessary for building up and maintaining your muscles. Meat and eggs contain high amounts of protein compared to most other foods, so it's important as a vegan to get that protein from other sources, like beans, nuts, tofu, and leafy greens. If you're not getting any protein, your muscles can weaken and shrink. The human body is able to absorb and use animal protein much faster than it can utilize vegetable-based protein. Make sure you get enough protein throughout the day, especially after exercise. It's going to take you longer to recover because it takes your muscles more time to process those vegetable proteins. Try a vegan protein shake, as the body generally processes liquids faster than solids. Dietary zinc helps your tongue keep its potency, and it's a vital mineral for your sense of taste. However, it's found primarily in red meat and oysters, both of which are obviously off-limits to vegans. Maintain your delicious sense of taste during this new dietary choice by taking a zinc supplement. Just remember, not all supplements are animal-free. You might think Atkins marked the beginning of the low-carb diet craze.
I found Atkins. I lost 30 pounds, and I did it without starving myself.
But carb cutting goes way back to 1862. An obese undertaker named William Banting, who was tired of bad hearing, looked for help from an ENT named Dr. Harvey. Harvey told Banting his problem wasn't in the ears, but rather in the fat pressing on his inner ear. He put Banting on a diet of meat, vegetables, wine, and fish only. No starch or sugar, except for the wine.
How's it going? It sucks!
Banting lost weight and his hearing problem disappeared. Since then, many low-carb diets were tested and studied. In most cases, dieters lost weight. But are these diets safe? And what happens to your body when you deprive it of carbs? Put down those fries and let's get to it. Critics of the low-carb diet say most of the pounds lost is water weight. But as former endurance athlete and Olympian Mark Sisson points out,
that might not be such a bad thing. He says retained water can amount to 10, 20, or more pounds depending on how large the person is. Since diets high in sodium and insulin promoters, like refined carbs, force the body to store water inside and in between cells, when you cut out carbs, your body gets rid of it, resulting in weight loss. Fitness and nutrition coach Abel James explains that severely limiting or cutting out carbs completely puts the body into a state of ketosis. In ketosis, small fragments of carbon called ketones are released into the blood because the body is burning fat instead of carbohydrates. And yes, low-carb plans also help the body burn fat. Doctor and best-selling author Lori Shemek says healthy fat turns on genes involved in fat burning, while turning off genes that promote fat storage. Okay, so when we think of diets, we tend to think of
lay off me, I'm starving!
But some experts say that a low-carb diet actually has the opposite effect. Neurologist David Perlmutter says the tie between wheat and cravings is like addiction, likening the chemicals in wheat and gluten to morphine.
This is your brain, this is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
If you're eating proteins, cruciferous vegetables, berries, and fats, you're likely to eliminate cravings and feel less hungry.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Researchers don't always agree on the impact of a low-carb diet on your health. PLOS One's 2014 study concluded that increasing the intake of refined carbs heightens the body's production of palmitoleic acid, which is a biomarker for a host of health issues like high cholesterol and diabetes. However, Emma Di Fabiani, editor at the Department of Pharmacological Sciences at the University of Milan in Italy, argues that our understanding of palmitoleic acid is incomplete and that more study is needed. Other studies, however, have examined the health impact of a low-carb diet. One found that in a 24-week ketogenic diet, the subjects experienced lower total cholesterol with a significant decrease in triglycerides and an increase in HDL levels. Those findings might mean that a low-carb diet can help reduce your risk of heart disease and stroke. When you first cut carbs, you may find that you have a lot less energy. Your body stores carbs in the form of glycogen, which is your brain's energy source. When your body runs out of glycogen and the ketones break free, it takes you some time to adjust. In the meantime, you'll be draggy with flu-like symptoms. Bummer. Dietitian Marie Spano also points out that even when you've adapted to running on ketones instead of glycogen, you still might not have the endurance you did when you ate carbs. She says, fat is a slow source of fuel. The body cannot access it quickly enough to sustain high-intensity exercise. Totally fine if you're sitting at a computer, not so great if you're an endurance athlete.
Come on, let's start running. Let's go!
Halitosis much? A lot of people who follow a low-carb diet report bad breath. Those ketones that are now fueling your body? Yeah, they're also released through your breath. Dr. Wayne Aldridge, president of the American Academy of Periodontology, says that during the first stage of the low-carb diet, as you lose water weight, you can develop dry mouth. That makes for stinky breath, too. Even if the dry mouth goes away, the halitosis caused by the low-carb diet won't. Dr. Andrew Weil, celebrity doctor and alternative medicine guru, says the only way to ditch the bad breath is to drink a lot of water, or to chew parsley.
This is a lot of information to process, Beast Boy. But aren't vegetables still just gross, tasteless rabbit food?
Real talk, low-carb diets can, in fact, cause constipation. You're not eating grains that contain fiber, so it's easy to get a little, stopped up. Fiber not only aids in digestion, it also helps stabilize glucose levels. But if you're committed to living that low-carb life, Dr. Deborah Gordon's got some tips for prepping up a sluggish system. She suggests that adequate hydration, exercise, and supplements can help you get back on track. She also advises eating fermented greens, leafy greens, and plenty of garlic and onions to add sulfur to gut bacteria. Already filling up on fiber? Dr. Georgia Eade says low-carb-friendly cruciferous vegetables, nuts, and full-fat dairy are all constipating foods. Low-carb diets help shed weight, but as soon as you start eating carbs and your body starts producing glucose again, everything goes right back to the way it was. The bottom line is, studies show that while low-carb diets yield results, effectiveness can wane, and by the time a year is up, most people go back to the way they were. In other studies, sometimes people on low-carb diets don't lose any more weight than people on other types of diets. That bread basket's starting to look pretty good, isn't it?
I love bread.
There are some obvious benefits to low-carb diets, but there are risk factors associated with it as well. Before starting any sort of diet, it's important to talk to your doctor about what you're considering, since they'll have a better idea about how best to choose one that fits you. Whatever your healthy eating plan, enjoy your food. Your unstoppable body will thank you.
Soda and other sugar-sweetened beverages like energy drinks and fruit juices have an effect on every part of your body, especially the brain. While the body naturally releases chemicals to remind us we need to do some essential maintenance, soda inhibits one of those important reminders, the one we need to sleep. A key ingredient in soda is caffeine. Caffeine is a stimulant, which many of us love because it keeps us awake during those 2-hour staff meetings. But that Diet Coke you had during your meeting could be keeping you up at night. According to the National Sleep Foundation, moderate caffeine usage can cause insomnia and sleep disturbances. They noted that it takes as long as 6 hours to get rid of just half the caffeine in your system. So if you want the best night's sleep you can get, stop drinking soda in the late afternoon. Because of the caffeine and other ingredients in soda, it has an adverse impact on how your heart functions. Caffeine may increase blood flow to the skin and extremities, blood pressure, blood sugar, body temperature, heart rate, stomach acid secretion, and urine production, as noted by the University of Michigan's University Health Service. The more soda you drink, the greater your risk of having a heart attack. At least that's what researchers at the Harvard School of Public Health say. In a 22-year study of more than 40,000 men that was published in April 2012, researchers found those who drink a sugar-sweetened drink like soda every day could increase their risk of having a heart attack by 19%. Those who had soda more than 3 times a week had an even higher risk. The researchers wrote that reduced intake of sugar-sweetened beverages saw significant weight loss, lowered blood pressure, and reduced risk of cardiovascular disease. That's a good argument for the decision to stop your soda habit. Researchers at University of California, San Francisco found that drinking soda causes premature skin aging. In a 5-year study of more than 5,000 adults that was published in the American Journal of Public Health in 2014, researchers found that people who drank more sugar-sweetened beverages had shorter telomeres, which are the ends of chromosomes. Think of them like the plastic caps at the end of your shoelaces. They exist to protect the chromosome. As time goes on, the telomeres naturally shorten, just as your lace caps will eventually begin to fray. However, soda consumption and bad habits increase the odds that your telomeres will shrink. Making good choices regarding your diet and the activities you do can reduce the rate of telomere shortening or at least prevent excessive telomere weakening. Protect your chromosomes and put down the pop. It's pretty much a no-brainer that soda, diet or otherwise, isn't so great for your teeth. Soda is acidic, and the acids in the soda eat away at enamel, causing tooth decay and cavities. In a Chinese study on the effects of soda consumption on oral health that was published in 2009, researchers wrote, "It is necessary to educate patients about the harmful effects of excessive soft drink consumption." They went on to say that dentists should advise patients to limit soda intake and to drink less erosive soft drinks like unsweetened iced tea and iced coffee. The researchers also advised that patients should avoid brushing their teeth within 1 hour of consuming acidic food and using fluoride and remineralizing toothpaste. You might not be able to achieve the luscious hair seen in hair commercials without the help of professional hairstylists, but if you stop drinking soda, you could boost your hair health. According to Panos Vassilotis, a dermatologist and the medical director of hair loss clinic, Haarkliniken, high sugar intake from things like soda can indirectly cause hair loss. It might sound like a leap, but it actually makes sense. Sugar affects the hormones in your body, specifically those that cause hair thinning. So it is believed if you control the amount of sugar you take into your body, then you can help control the amount of these hormones and, hopefully, the amount of hair on the top of your head. Vassilotis noted, "Everyone should recognize the power of eating real food and can use diet as a powerful weapon against thin hair." It's no surprise that drinking sugary drinks like soda causes weight gain. So if you hope to lose a few pounds, eliminating soda can do the trick. 2 studies have found that swapping soda for a healthier beverage option can lead to some weight loss. The first study, published in the journal Pediatrics in 2006, showed moderate body weight reduction when a group of teens were given a non-caloric beverage to replace sugar-sweetened beverages. The second study, which was published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition in 2012, involved overweight and obese adults. That study found that replacing caloric beverages with water resulted in 2 to 2.5% weight loss. That's a pretty big impact for just a few easy changes. Given that many sodas contain both caffeine and sugar, you might be tempted to think soda would be good for a kick of energy, right? Wrong, according to registered dietitian Haley Simmering. She told The List, "Many people have turned to soda for an energy boost, but the drop in energy after the soda wears off will leave you feeling fatigued. This will only lead to further cravings. And that's how you can end up drinking soda after soda just to maintain a baseline. The same applies to diet soda as well. As Simmering said, it can have a significant impact on your sense of satiety." She continued, "When you take in something exceedingly sweet, and those artificial sweeteners in diet soda are from 400 times to 8,000 times sweeter than sugar, it can send you searching for more food, out of lack of satisfaction." Part of the reason so many people drink soda is because it tastes good, so consuming it is a pleasant experience. But if you're hip to the dangers of sugar, you might instead reach for a diet soda, thinking that it's going to reduce your risk of developing some of those sugar-related conditions. Can't hurt, right? However, diet soda comes with its own risks, according to Dr. Dariush Mazafarian, dean of the Friedman School of Nutrition Science and Policy at Tufts University. He told Men's Health, long-term, drinking an intensely sweet drink with no calories can change taste preferences and unconscious desire for eating. Will an apple taste sweet anymore? Will a carrot taste sweet anymore? Unfortunately for the sweetener-trained tongue, no. But there's good news. You can undo the damage when you stop drinking soda. And eventually your taste buds will revert to the way they were before. Imagine how good fruit will taste again. While giving up soda is good for your body in a myriad of ways, that doesn't mean that doing so is easy or without effort. It actually can be quite difficult. Additionally, some of the impacts of ditching your dew can be fairly unpleasant out of the gate, especially if your preferred beverage has both caffeine and sugar. One less than pleasant change that happens to your body will take place in your brain. As noted by Dr. Mike Dow, a psychotherapist and nutrition expert, he explained to Bustle, your brain was getting both serotonin and dopamine from the sugar and caffeine respectively, so you'll be irritable and get headaches and really be craving that soda. Fortunately, both the moodiness and the cravings don't last forever, and eventually your body will adjust to your new and healthier lifestyle. So just remember, there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Stop protecting me. I'm a man. I can protect myself. This is misdirected anger, and I'm sorry. I don't mean to lash out at you. There's a lot coming up right now, all at once.
It's not just caffeine and sugar that keeps you reaching for soda time after time. It's also the pleasant experience that comes with the carbonation, which is addictive in and of itself. So in addition to the pick-me-up and flavor boost of colas, you might also find yourself jonesing for the bubbly goodness if you give up soda, says registered dietitian Amanda A. Costra-Miller. She told us that fortunately there's an easy fix. You can have a few different cravings for soda when you cut it out of your diet. Many of my clients ultimately crave the carbonation, which can be remedied fairly easy with seltzer water. Are you someone who always manages to catch the cold that's going around or are prone to getting the flu without fail? Believe it or not, you might want to cut soda out of your diet if that's the case. You may just find that your immune system improves when you jettison your pop habit. So what exactly does soda have to do with your tendency to get sick? Plenty, as noted by Simmering. She told us, sodas are especially treacherous for your gut. Research has found that sugar and artificial sweeteners affect your healthy gut bacteria, which can affect how your immune system works and how your body responds to infection. While giving up soda for good is no substitute for good hygiene practices or the proper medicine, it can give you a leg up in the battle against bacteria and viruses nonetheless. It can't hurt, right? Have you ever heard that you need to drink 8 glasses of water every day to stay properly hydrated? While Healthline says that isn't exactly the case, that doesn't mean cola should be your go-to beverage. Water is still your best bet, but here's the thing. You may find it to be a pretty boring option, especially if you're used to the flavor of soda. But there's good news. There are ways to spice things up, says Costra-Miller. She told The List, some people may also prefer soda to regular water because they just don't like the taste of water. This can be remedied easily by adding natural flavors to your water, i.e. lemon juice, cucumber.
This could be the last bottle of Blue Dog in California. Huh? Check it out. Wait, what do you...
A surprising thing about soda is the impact that it can have on your brain health. Unfortunately, some of the news on this front isn't very good. As Simmering notes, researchers have found that consuming excess sugar in soda leads to a decrease in the amounts of a chemical called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF. This may affect your ability to learn and remember things. That's not the full extent of it either. As Simmering says, there are additional problems your pop habit can wreak on your noggin. She adds that other studies have found a link between soda consumption and various types of dementia. So if you're concerned about potential memory loss or you have a history of Alzheimer's disease in your family, you may want to stop drinking soda on a regular basis. There are some topics that don't exactly make for good dinner table conversation, and your restroom habits are one of them. But as it turns out, if you stop drinking soda, then you may just make fewer stops in the bathroom, says registered dietitian Sophia Norton. She told The List, the reason behind that frequent feeling of wanting to urinate is caffeine, which is in soda and other beverages like coffee and tea. It's not just eliminating all the caffeine that's good for your bladder, as ditching both sodas and diet sodas can have another huge benefit, according to Norton. She continued, quitting soda, including diet soda, also reduces your risk for bladder cancer. Several studies have shown that artificial sweeteners, when consumed too often, is associated with an increased cancer risk. Bear in mind that consuming artificial sweeteners in reasonable quantities is perfectly safe, as noted by the Mayo Clinic. The key is moderation. Do you have dreams of one day retiring with your spouse and finally taking that trip around the world? Are you really looking forward to your golden years when having to work will be a distant memory? Spoiler alert, if you say goodbye to your soda habit, you might be more likely to do that, says Simmering. She told The List, here's a bonus, you might live longer. A recent study found that people who drank a lot of soda had shorter telomeres and immune cells. That means that soda drinkers are more at risk for death and disease as they age. Is it really worth the soda habit? If all the reasons we listed to stop drinking soda aren't good enough, how about just having the knowledge that your insides could be as beautiful as your outsides? Frequent consumption of soda and other sugar-sweetened beverages is linked to a slew of conditions that make you feel pretty awful, according to Harvard School of Public Health. That includes life-threatening kidney disease, diabetes, and obesity, which is a gateway disease for conditions like breast, colon, and pancreatic cancer, as well as heart disease, as noted by the journal Obesity Facts. And sure, even after all that, you know soda isn't good for you. But here's the thing, it's easy to say you shouldn't drink it, but the reality is that quitting is tough. Soda tastes wonderful and feels like a fiesta in your mouth. But knowing what you know now, you might just want to rethink reaching for that Coca-Cola and grab something a little healthier.
Do you have a penchant for fast food and French fries? Ordering way too much, then reveling in the glory of a guilty pleasure? Do you love going to the movies and getting a big bucket of buttered, salted popcorn? While all of those foods are delicious, eating too much of them can be bad for your health. That's because, according to Dr. Nikola Georgievich, there is a very definite link between how much salt you eat and how high your blood pressure is. He explained to us, "Sodium is linked to hypertension very closely. When you take too much salt, your body tries to regulate this by holding more water inside the body. As a consequence, significant pressure on the circulatory system is created, which instantly increases blood pressure as well. And that's not a good thing. Fortunately, if you stop eating salt, your blood pressure will decrease. So if you're at all concerned about your numbers, it's best to ditch the salt shaker." It's not just your blood pressure that's directly impacted by the amount of sodium that you eat. Rather, according to Dr. Georgievich, salt can do some pretty serious damage to other organs in your body. He told us, "Kidneys are also affected by high amounts of sodium. There is a direct link between kidney malfunction and salt intake. Additionally, hypertension damages numerous organs, and kidneys are frequently the first to start failing. Given that you need your kidneys to function well in order to live a normal, healthy life, that's not something you want to be dealing with. Fortunately, once again, you can spare your kidneys that fate if you stop eating salt, according to the National Kidney Foundation. They also offer several helpful ways that you can do so, which include eating fresh meat instead of packaged meat, using spices and seasonings that are salt-free, and eating lots of fruit and vegetables, to name a few." Speaking of kidneys, there's another thing that your salt consumption can have an impact on within them, according to Dr. Anthony Corey, the development of kidney stones. He told us, "Too much salt increases the risk of developing kidney stones. By decreasing our salt intake, we decrease the possibility of developing kidney stones and kidney disease." In case you weren't aware, kidney stones are small, hard deposits of salt and minerals that form inside your kidneys. But just because they are small doesn't mean they don't make themselves known. If you've ever had a kidney stone or known someone who's had one, you know how excruciatingly painful they can be. To that end, if you've never had one, you can count yourself extremely lucky. But if you have had a kidney stone in the past, or know you're at risk of developing kidney stones in the future, you can take preventative action now and stop eating salt. Do you experience a lot of bloating and swelling either during certain parts of your menstrual cycle or after meals? Do you feel like your body is retaining too much fluid? Well, salt might have something to do with that, according to Dr. Georgievich. He explained to us, "Since sodium is one of the reasons for water retention, by reducing the salt intake, you will actually release more water from your body. You will feel less bloated and swollen." Studies have confirmed that bloating is one of the top reported gastrointestinal complaints in the United States. And one of the reasons that bloating is so commonplace is because people are eating diets that are far too high in sodium. Feeling bloated doesn't just make you feel uncomfortable and cramped, as well as unable to fit into your favorite clothing comfortably. It can also zap your energy levels and make you feel exhausted, according to registered dietitian Diana Goriglio-Cleland, and that can put a serious damper into your fitness routine. She says, "When someone feels weighed down with fluid retention, it can be difficult to be active, which also increases energy levels. Some people may feel more energized when reducing their salt intake because of the reduced water retention, making them feel more energetic. That way you won't feel tempted to skip out on your exercise class next time."
My trainer said, "Everybody fails working out. That's how you win." Okay. All right.
We get it. The idea of cutting salt out of your diet is a grim proposition. After all, that means saying no to a lot of tasty foods, including fast food, processed foods, cured meats, and potato chips. Plus, if you want to take control of your sodium intake, that means you have to be a lot more picky when you dine out, which isn't fun. That also means that reading food labels is going to be a full-time job, and who has time for that? But there's good news, as Diana Goriglio-Clearland assures that any sense of deprivation is going to be temporary. She shared with us, "While it may be a difficult change to cut back on sodium initially, your taste buds will in fact adjust to the lower threshold." Many people who have cut back on sodium claim that they can't stand the salty foods they used to eat once they've adjusted to a healthier sodium amount. So fear not. With a little patience, your palate will adjust after you stop eating salt, and you'll wonder why you were such a salt fiend to begin with.
All right, gang. Diet day 4. How's everyone holding up?
Honestly, I'm going to last forever.
Obviously, it's exceedingly important to make sure you're drinking enough water every day. According to the CDC, water is vital in maintaining a healthy body temperature, lubricating your joints, ensuring that your body disposes of waste properly, and keeps your spinal cord safe from pain and damage. And if you live in an especially warm climate, exercise a lot, or are feeling ill, staying hydrated is especially important. But if you find yourself especially thirsty and don't meet the above criteria, you might want to stop eating salt, according to Dr. Anthony Curry. When we eat a high amount of sodium on a daily basis, we feel thirstier. This is because we need water to balance the sodium levels in our body. By eating less salt, our body doesn't crave water the same way because it doesn't need to normalize sodium levels as much. That's why you feel the need to drink water after indulging in a big bag of salty snacks. Cut that out, and you'll also get rid of that nagging thirst.
You guys give up, or you're thirsty for more?
Do you find yourself prone to getting headaches fairly frequently? If so, you might be surprised to learn that salt could be a culprit, according to Caleb Backey, a certified personal trainer. As he explained, sodium has a direct effect on your blood vessels, which may trigger headaches. Research shows that a reduction in sodium resulted in fewer headaches than participants who maintained their sodium intake. That's good news for headache sufferers, especially considering that the researchers made sure to narrow down what was causing the headaches and what wasn't. This was regardless of the type of diet they ate. The only correlation was levels of sodium. This means that when you stop eating salt, you're likely to experience fewer headaches. So even though it's no fun cutting out the potato chips, if that can help to decrease your pain levels, it's worth a shot. If your blood pressure is high enough to qualify as hypertension, your risks of heart disease and stroke are increased, according to Dr. Amin Yahia, a cardiologist at Piedmont Heart Institute. As he explained in an interview with Reader's Digest, worldwide, 54% of strokes and 47% of heart disease are attributed to hypertension. Excess sodium has blood pressure-independent effects, promoting left ventricular hypertrophy as well as fibrosis in the heart and arteries. What exactly does that mean? Basically, it means that eating too much salt is bad for your heart, period. Fortunately, if you stop eating salt, you can reduce your risk of heart disease and stroke, according to the American Heart Association. Specifically, they recommend that you consume no more than 1,500 milligrams of sodium daily, which honestly isn't a lot. But if your health is at stake, it's worth the sacrifice. The American Heart Association wants to see deaths due to cardiovascular events decrease by 20%. And in order to help that happen, they want to educate people about the dangers of salt and about how eating less of it can make you live longer. Dr. Yahia shared some staggering statistics in an interview with Reader's Digest, saying, "Studies have reported that reducing sodium intake by 1,200 milligrams daily could lead up to 120,000 fewer coronary heart disease cases, up to 66,000 fewer strokes, 99,000 fewer myocardial infarctions, and 92,000 fewer deaths from any cause." Additionally, there's other research out there that says if people tried to stop eating salt and reduce their salt consumption by having about 1,500 milligrams a day, up to 500,000 people will be spared from heart-related deaths over a 10-year period. If ever there was a time to get rid of your salt shaker, it's now. If you stop eating salt, you'll likely notice that right away you drop a few pounds. Chances are this is water weight you're losing, at least at first, as salt causes the body to retain water. But it's not just water weight that you can lose when you decrease your sodium intake. That's because the types of foods that you stop eating are less healthy than what's included in your new diet, according to registered dietitian Erin Polinsky-Wade. She revealed in an interview with Reader's Digest, "If you start to shift your diet to include more whole, unprocessed food, this naturally helps to reduce your sodium intake. This can help to reduce your intake of added sugars and refined carbohydrates, while increasing fiber and promoting a reduction in calories that can lead to weight loss. Chances are that if you eat a diet that's high in sodium, you find yourself using the restroom more than folks with a lower salt intake. But according to Erin Polinsky-Wade, it's not the food itself that makes that happen. She explained to Reader's Digest,
"Eating more sodium alone doesn't cause you to pee more, but it can increase thirst, and as you drink more, you are more likely to excrete more urine."
It's also important to note that eating a high-sodium diet and not drinking enough water can cause additional problems. She also noted, high-sodium diets without additional fluid intake can, however, force the body to pull water out of other cells, which may increase the risk of dehydration. And being dehydrated is not a fun experience. That's why hangovers are so awful, and let's face it, you'd avoid those if you could, right? So if you stop eating salt, that's less time spent running to the restroom and potentially fewer interruptions in your sleep. Sounds like a win-win. In addition to having an impact on your organs and circulatory system, eating too much salt can cause damage to your skeleton.
Specifically, according to a study that was presented to the Endocrine Society, women who eat a diet that's high in salt are at an increased risk of breaking a bone after menopause.
This is regardless of a woman's bone density too. Specifically, the study found that women who consume excessive salt are 4 times as likely to sustain a non-vertebral fracture, which basically means a fracture anywhere but the spine, than women who eat less sodium. And according to Dr. Kyoko Nawata, lead author on the study, changes in diet could help prevent these fractures. Dr. Nawata says, excessive sodium intake appears to be a risk factor for bone fragility. It is therefore important to consider excessive sodium intake in dietary therapy for osteoporosis. To that end, if you stop eating salt now, your bones will be healthier in the long run, and so will the rest of you.